Welcome back to the channel, where we protect your wallet from bad geography. Today, we are having a very serious conversation about your future. We are diving into a topic that might be painful, but it is necessary. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine you have spent 40 years building a nest egg. You worked late nights, you skipped vacations, and you maxed out your 401k. You did everything right. But then, you decide to retire in the wrong zip code. And suddenly, that lifetime of savings is being fed into a wood chipper. That is not an exaggeration. In 2025, the landscape of American retirement has fundamentally shifted. We are not just talking about high rent anymore. We are talking about retirement death traps. These are cities that were once the backbone of the American dream. They were places where you could raise a family, buy a home, and age with dignity. But today, they have transformed into financial predators designed to confiscate your wealth. They are hunting for your pension checks. They are targeting your social security. And they are waiting to tax your life savings until there is nothing left for your grandchildren. I'm going to walk you through the 10 U.S. cities that 90% of Americans can simply no longer afford to retire in. We are skipping the obvious tourist traps to focus on the real heartbreakers. These are the suburbs and cities you probably grew up in. We will look at the housing costs, sure, but we are also going to uncover the hidden retirement risks that real estate agents will never tell you about. Things like double death taxes, service inflation, and the fixed income purchasing power crash. If you are over 50 and thinking about where to spend your golden years, you need to watch this. Because location is the silent killer of retirement portfolios. Let's get into the numbers. Number 10, Arlington, Virginia. Number 10 is Arlington, Virginia. Arlington used to be the smart move. It was the civil servant's paradise. If you couldn't afford D.C., you crossed one bridge, got slightly cheaper rent, and enjoyed a quiet, patriotic life. Military families retired here. Government workers retired here. It was safe, stable, and predictable. Those days are gone. Arlington is now a place where the Pentagon is your neighbor, and your mortgage payment looks like it belongs in a Pentagon weapons contract. This is one of those suburbs that quietly crept up the price ladder while everyone was distracted with New York and San Francisco. Median home values are now pushing the mid-800s. Specifically, the median home value is sitting right around $850,000. Housing costs are almost twice the national average. The classic starter home dream has turned into a nightmare. But here is the specific trap for retirees in 2025. It is not just the house price, it is the car tax. Virginia has a very aggressive personal property tax on vehicles. As a retiree, you might want to treat yourself to a nice, reliable car for your golden years. In Arlington, you will pay an annual tax on that car's value, year after year. It is like renting your own property from the county. Add in Virginia's rising gas tax, which is now 41 cents a gallon, and just driving to the grocery store becomes a luxury. And let's talk about insurance. The average home insurance premium is yearly $2,470 and climbing. But the real killer for seniors here is the cost of assisted living and healthcare services. Northern Virginia has some of the highest costs for long-term care in the nation. If you ever need in-home care, the hourly rates in Arlington will drain a modest $401k in a matter of years. The cost of living here is about 33% above the national average. It is a beautiful place, but it is a financial black hole for anyone on a fixed income. Number 9, Bethesda, Maryland. Number 9 is Bethesda, Maryland. Bethesda used to be the ultimate doctor's suburb. It was educated, quiet, and close to the National Institutes of Health. It was the kind of place where you moved to be around smart people and good hospitals. Now, it is a nice suburb where you need surgeon-level money just to pay your property taxes. The median home values here are north of $1.1 million. That is almost double the national average. This allegedly is where you go for a quieter life. Quieter? Yes. Cheaper? Not even close. Maryland doesn't make it easier on you either. They have some of the highest gas taxes in the nation, pushing almost 50 cents per gallon, But for retirees, Bethesda hides a much darker secret. Maryland is the only state in the union that levies both an estate tax and an inheritance tax. We call this the double death tax. You work your entire life to build a legacy for your children. You pay taxes on your income every single year. And then, when you pass away, Maryland steps in to take another massive cut before your family sees a dime. If you are sitting on a $1.14 million home in Bethesda, you are a prime target for this tax scheme. Utilities and groceries are above average too. So, even your fridge and shower have higher standards than most states. Bethesda used to be a cheaper option than DC. Now, it's about as expensive as DC, just with better lawns. Here are the 2025 numbers you need to know. The cost of living here is 33.5% above the national average. The median home value is $1.14 million. Maryland's gas tax is about 46 cents a gallon. And average home insurance is about $1,800 a year. If you retire here, you are essentially working for the state of Maryland until the day you die. Number 8. Framingham, Massachusetts. Number 8 is Framingham, Massachusetts. Framingham used to be the working-class hero of Greater Boston. It had mill-town roots, solid neighborhoods, and regular people. It was the place you went when you wanted to be near Boston, but didn't have Boston money. Now, it is what happens when a housing crisis spills over the city limits like a flood. Median home values here are well over $600,000. That is for a place that once attracted people specifically because it wasn't expensive. Real estate is a full-contact sport now in Massachusetts. A recent report says the income needed to afford a low-end house in this region is about $162,000 a year. That is not fixed income friendly. That is 2 high-powered careers and a side hustle money. But the retirement trap in Framingham is the energy cost. Massachusetts' electricity rates are among the most expensive in the continental US. They are about 75% to 80% above the national average. When you are retired, you spend more time at home. You need to keep the heat on during those long, brutal New England winters. In Framingham, your heating bill becomes a second mortgage. You are burning through your savings just to stay warm. On top of that, Massachusetts has an estate tax threshold of just $2 million. With home values rising, many middle-class families are accidentally becoming millionaires on paper, meaning the state will come for a slice of your modest home when you pass. Framingham has gone from a sleeper suburb to a budget wrecking ball. Here are the numbers. The cost of living in Framingham is about 34.5% above the national average. The median home value here is $624,000, and the average homeowner's insurance is about $1,733 a year. The one good thing is Massachusetts has one of the lowest gas taxes in the country, ranked 31st, but saving a few pennies at the pump doesn't help when your electric meter is spinning like a fan blade. Number 7. Washington, D.C. Number 7 is Washington, D.C. D.C. used to be a place where you went for opportunity. It had reasonable East Coast pricing compared to New York City. It had free museums and a vibrant culture. Now, the median home value is over $700,000, even in questionable neighborhoods. Sure, the museums are still free, but you are basically paying for them with your rent or your house payment every single month. The kicker for retirees in DC is service inflation. As you age, you need help. You might need someone to mow the lawn, fix a leak, or deliver groceries. In DC, the cost of labor is astronomical. Groceries, utilities, transportation, and services all run above the national average. If you go to an average town in Indiana, you buy $100 worth of groceries. You take that same list to DC, and that cart now costs you $138. That is a 38% tax on your existence. For a retiree on a pension that barely adjusts for inflation, that is a mathematical disaster. You can ride the metro to save on gas, but you will pay for it in higher taxes and overall cost of living. That is nearly 40% above the national average. DC used to be a place where a Hill staffer with roommates could get by. Now, even wealthy retirees look at the prices and start Googling cheaper towns in the Carolinas. The city is slowly turning into a gated community for lobbyists and contractors. Everyone else there is just visiting friends. Here are the numbers. Washington, D.C. cost of living is 38.1% above the national average. The median home value in a transitional neighborhood is about $715,000. The average home price in a safe, walkable neighborhood is $1.1 million. Unless your pension comes from Congress itself, D.C. is a trap. Number 6. Seattle, Washington. Number 6 is Seattle, Washington. I thought about taking this one off the list because everyone knows it's expensive. But the specific way Seattle crushes retirees is unique and needs to be discussed. Seattle used to be a quirky, rainy city where musicians and coders could actually afford rent. Then, Amazon and Microsoft happened. Now, the grunge is just the feeling in your bank account after paying your property tax. Median home values here are almost $900,000. And let's be honest, this place has difficult weather. Usually, bad weather acts as a discount on real estate. Not here. The tech money is so overwhelming that the weather is irrelevant to the pricing. Now, here is the retirement trap specific to Washington state. They have no state income tax. That sounds great, right? That is the bait. But because they don't tax income, they tax everything else aggressively. Washington has the most regressive tax system in the country. They have the highest estate tax rates, reaching up to 20%. They have massive sales taxes and gas taxes. As a retiree, you are not earning a high salary anymore, so the lack of income tax doesn't help you much. But you are spending money every day. You are buying gas, buying food, paying property taxes. Seattle's system is designed to benefit high earners and punish spenders. Retirees are spenders. Gas taxes are among the highest in the United States at 59 cents a gallon. Seattle's overall cost of living lands more than 40% above the national average. In the 1,990 seconds, people moved to Seattle because it was cheaper than California. Now, people are fleeing Seattle for the same reason they fled California. Here are their numbers. The cost of living is 41.2% above the national average. The median home value is about $898,000. No state income tax, but high sales and gas tax. Their utilities are just a hair above the national average, thanks to hydropower, but that is the only mercy you will get. Number 5. Boston, Massachusetts. Number 5 is Boston, Massachusetts. Boston used to be expensive, but survivable. It was a city of students, triple-decker apartments, and history on every corner. You put up with the brutal winters because the culture was unmatched. Now, the average Boston home price has blown past $1 million. It is currently sitting at $1.06 million. Housing costs are roughly 114% above the national average. But here is the tragic irony for seniors in Boston. This city has some of the best hospitals in the world: Mass General, Brigham, and Women's World-Class Care. But the healthcare cost paradox here is brutal. While the care is excellent, the out-of-pocket costs, the insurance premiums, and the cost of living near these hospitals are prohibitive. Seniors are being priced out of the very city that could save their lives. They are forced to move to cheaper suburbs far away from the medical specialists they need. Utilities here are brutal too. Massachusetts, electricity rates are some of the highest in the country. Add Boston's higher general service costs, and just existing there feels like a full-time financial job. It used to be a place where you could absorb the pain of winter in exchange for decent wages. Now, even people with decent wages are drowning. Here are their numbers. The cost of living is 44.8% above the national average. The average home value here is about $1.06 million. The average rent is about $4,157 a month for a two-bedroom. Think about that. Does your monthly pension check even cover just the rent? Probably not. And like we said earlier, the average homeowner's insurance in Massachusetts is $1,733 a year. Boston is a city for the young and wealthy, not the old and fixed income. Number 4. San Diego, California. Number 4 is San Diego, California. San Diego used to be marketed as the cheaper LA with better weather. It was the military retirement dream. Now, it is just LA with a slightly better mood and equally impossible prices. The average San Diego home price has climbed above $1.1 million in many reports. Now San Diego brings us to the concept of the sunshine tax. You pay a premium for the best weather in the continental United States. But in 2025, that premium has become extortionate. California is ridiculous when it comes to cost of living. Right now, they have some of the highest gas prices in the country. The average gallon of gas is going for $4.50 to $4.90. The national average right now in late 2025 is about $3. So, every time you fill up your tank to visit the grandkids, you are paying a 50% penalty just for being in California. But the new killer for retirees in San Diego is utility inflation. San Diego Gas and Electric has some of the highest rates in America. Water bills are skyrocketing due to drought management. If you are on a fixed income, your utility bill can fluctuate wildly and wreck your monthly budget. And let's not forget the fire tax. San Diego comes with an added problem of wildfires. Insurance companies are pulling out or jacking up rates by 300% or 400%. So, you're paying extra to buy a house, extra to insure it, extra to fuel the car, and extra to keep the lights on. But hey, the weather's nice, right? Here are their numbers. The cost of living in San Diego is 46.1% above the national average. The median home value is about $923,000. The average gas price in San Diego is $4.66 a gallon. And the average homeowner's insurance is about $1,825 a year if you can even find a carrier to write you a policy. Number 3, Los Angeles, California. Number 3 is Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles used to be the cheaper alternative to San Francisco. It was the land of reinvention. Now, its affordable option has an average home price of around $1.35 million. What do you get for that kind of money? World-class traffic, gas taxes that are the highest in the US, utilities, groceries, and random life expenses that all run above the national average. But for retirees, LA represents the taxation trap. California treats your retirement withdrawals aggressively. They tax 401k and IRA withdrawals as regular income. They have the highest top-tier income tax rate in the country, hitting 13.3% for high earners. But the middle brackets are still painful. Unlike some states that give seniors a break, California wants a piece of everything. And then there is the social isolation factor. LA is a car culture. As you age and maybe cannot drive as well or cannot afford the gas, you become trapped in your neighborhood. Public transport is getting better, but it is not safe or reliable enough for many seniors. Once upon a time, you moved to LA to chase your dreams. In 2025, if you stay in LA for retirement, you are chasing a mirage. The cost of living in Los Angeles is about 50% above the national average. The average home value here is about $1.35 million. Depending on the area, you might be able to get something for around $930,000. But it won't be where you want to live. My parents bought a home in Torrance in the 82nds for under $150,000. That same home right now is going for about $1.2 million. That is not growth. That is a barrier to entry. Number 2. Queens, New York. Number 2 is Queens, New York. Queens was supposed to be the affordable borough. It was the place you went when Manhattan and Brooklyn laughed at your budget. It was the home of Archie Bunker, the working-class king. Now, Archie Bunker couldn't afford a parking spot in Queens. The cost of living is more than 50% above the national average. The average home price is around $1.3 million. That is for the cheaper borough. New York State has the second highest overall tax burden in the country at almost 13.6% of your income. That is just behind Hawaii. But the specific trap for retirees here is the phenomenon of being house rich, cash poor. Many seniors in Queens bought their homes 40 years ago. They own the house outright, but the property taxes are based on the current inflated market value. So you have seniors living on Social Security who are paying $10,000 or $15,000 a year just in property taxes. They are being forced to sell the homes they raised their families in because they cannot afford the rent to the government. Add New York City's own sales tax and the cost of services, and residents are basically in an abusive relationship with their tax bill. Queens used to be for working-class families where they could buy a modest house and still send their kids to college. Now, it's where working-class families who bought decades ago are sitting on assets they couldn't afford to purchase today. Here are their numbers. The cost of living is 50.6% above the national average. The average home price here is about $1.36 million. Average rent is $3,937. Your total tax burden is 13,6%. It is a tragedy of gentrification. Before we reveal the #1 financial death trap, I have a question for you. Have you actually checked if your state taxes your Social Security benefits? 13 states still tax Social Security to some degree. Is your home on that list? Let me know in the comments below. Checking that one fact could mean the difference between eating steak or eating cat food when you're 80. Number 1. Brooklyn, New York. And number 1. The heavyweight champion of crushing your dreams is Brooklyn, New York. Yes, Brooklyn's glow-up is complete. The old, cheaper-than-Manhattan borough is gone forever. If Brooklyn were its own city, it would rival Chicago in population and blow past it in housing pain. Cost of living here is 60% above the national average. Housing costs are nearly 4 times what the typical American pays. But the ultimate retirement killer in Brooklyn is the cost of goods sold. It is the price of a loaf of bread, the price of a haircut, the price of a cup of coffee. Your pension check has a fixed dollar amount. When you spend that dollar in Ohio or Florida, it buys you a dollar's worth of goods. When you spend that dollar in Brooklyn, it buys you about 40 cents worth of goods. You are voluntarily taking a 60% pay cut on your purchasing power just to have a Brooklyn zip code. The median home value is about $1.2 million for a shoebox. Utilities are 19.1% above the national average. And like we learned earlier, your total tax burden in New York is the second highest in the nation. Manhattan is more expensive, sure, with a cost of living 132% above average. But nobody expects Manhattan to be affordable. Brooklyn is the betrayal. It was supposed to be the refuge, and now it is the trap. So, what is the takeaway here? These 10 cities are incredible places if you are 30 years old, making $200,000 a year, and climbing the corporate ladder. But if you are 65, relying on a pension and Social Security, these cities are not homes. They are financial prisons. They are designed to extract maximum value from high earners, not to support those who have finished their race. Do not let your nostalgia for a city blind you to the math of your survival. But don't panic. There are still places in this country where your money is treated with respect. Places where the taxes are low, the weather is decent, and the government actually wants you to keep your savings. In the next video, I am going to show you the 7 tax havens for retirees. These are the states where $1 million lasts forever. Click the video on your screen right now to start planning your escape. I'll see you there. Be nice to each other